Hello, everyone. Helen Murphy here at the Journal, and today we're going to look at how the COVID-19 pandemic is impacting local businesses. Becky Atkinson started a new brewery business on the Eastern Shore in 2015, and about 6 months ago, she expanded it into a pub called the Tap Room. So we're checking in with Becky in Sheet Harbour today to see how she's working to keep her business afloat. Hello, Becky. How are you today?
We're here. That's the positive thing.
Yeah. Um, Tell us a little bit, for those who aren't familiar with Sober Island Brewing and the expansion that you've done in the past year, tell us a little bit about your business.
So as you said, we started in 2015. That's when I registered the business. We started as a small 50-liter brewery. Our main product being an oyster stout, which was brewed with whole, fresh, local oysters. And then within about 6 months or so, we moved into a larger brewery, into 800 liters that we could brew at a time. And now, just this past December, we expanded into another building where we have a tap room where folks before this pandemic could come in and sit down, enjoy a pint, take a growler home, see all of our merchandise, and we could share our story.
Yeah, and I remember being down that way last summer, and I just had to pick up the T-shirt, the Sober Island Brewing, to give to our son. I think a lot of people love the name. Of course, there is a Sober Island close to where you live, and I think a lot of folks know about that. And it's really catchy branding. You've done really well at that. Becky, as things were changing in January and February, and we were starting to learn more about the COVID-19 virus spreading, at what point did that become kind of real for you in terms of a greater concern that it could impact your business?
Honestly, it didn't become real for me until March 14th, I think, is when we went into a state of emergency. I wasn't even thinking about it, to be honest, in January, February. Like, we were in some strategy sessions, and we had planned to do a little event every day of March that we were open, and obviously that didn't happen. So we were full on, planning and not thinking about the pandemic at all coming our way.
Right. And then when the government order came out with the state of emergency, and businesses like yours where there's there's dining in, had to close, how did that impact you? How many staff did you have on? What did you have to do then?
Well, we've always been a small team. I did have a sales representative that I had to lay off. Obviously, we're not selling the restaurants right now because they're not really open as they normally are. I did lose my brother a week or so just before we went into a state of emergency. So honestly, when it all first started, I didn't do anything. I took time off and tried to figure, out life in general. So after that, after I did finally get a little bit of a boot in the butt to get moving, I've just been head down trying to navigate all the government programs, and we've shifted to deliveries around the province, and we're trying to work on an online store now to offer shipping and a better, more streamlined process for deliveries.
Right. I'm so sorry that all this happened, that you had a loss in your family, and then all of this to deal with on top of that. That's I think we're seeing now, and of course with what's been happening in Nova Scotia the last couple of days, we're seeing other things in life happen in addition to the pandemic, and it's just such a burden. So our thoughts are definitely with you and your family on that. And it's impressive that you're keeping going, Becky, and you're trying to make this work. You mentioned government assistance. How the different government plans that have been out there, I know they've been tweaking them to try to make them applicable to more businesses and more individuals. How have they been suited to your needs?
They're not very suited to my needs, and by no means am I complaining, because I think everyone's doing their best right now, and I'm very, impressed for the most part with it all. But I find that the programs, especially the wage subsidy program, looks at business as if it moves in a linear motion, which for startups and very small businesses like myself is not the case. We suffered our biggest loss in the business last year. And so even though we haven't lost revenue, it's still not enough, because we didn't make enough last year because of our loss. So
Right.
the wage subsidy program doesn't work for us, which I would love to take advantage of because I actually need to hire people to do the deliveries and things like that. And I'm not sure that that's possible without a subsidy. Besides that, the 40,000, I think that's great for businesses, with the $10,000 being forgivable, so almost like a grant. That works for us, and we have certainly applied. But everything else doesn't suit our business.
Right. And of course, where you are, your business and a lot of your fellow businesses in the chamber in Sheet Harbour are reliant on the tourism industry, right? Are people thinking now that that's probably not going to happen this year, or it's going to be just a small fraction of what you really need?
Yeah, I believe a lot of people are thinking that it's not going to happen. If anything, we'll just get more local travel within the province. We certainly rely on the tourism here. That's my concern, is that if we don't have a summer here, then how do we make it through the winter? Because it's always, when you're a seasonal business or a seasonal area, it's about building the cushion to get through till the next season.
Right. And I think a lot of small businesses have been trying to innovate a little bit and maybe do things differently and think about things differently to get through the pandemic. You've been doing a little bit of that. I've heard some good things about a takeout opportunity with some of your brews. Tell us about how that works.
Yeah, so that was just some fly off the handle idea that came to mind last week, and I decided to run with it. So we partnered up with the local Fairwinds here, who just opened up for takeout last week, and we did Fish Friday. So we offered fish for 4, fish for 2, and every delivery came with a 4-pack of beer. So I ended up delivering about 70 plates of fish and chips all around the community, and yeah, probably 40 4-packs of beer. So it was great because people want that treat,
Yeah.
Everyone's at home, they're cooking, not everyone does fried food at home too. They wanted a little bit of normalcy, I think, and it worked really well.
Right. So are you going to keep that up? Will that go as a regular Friday feature?
We're going to partner with other businesses too. I'm hoping to partner with a pizza shop and do pizza and beer. And then obviously, since I'm so closely related to the Henley House, with that being owned by my parents, I really want to focus on a partnership there. Granted that we can open it up to a certain degree for takeout. So.
Right. So obviously you're open to new ideas and doing new things. Would you suggest that that's kind of what small business owners are going to have to do now to get through the months ahead?
Yeah, I think it's all about adapting and innovating. None of this is known right now to any of us. And I think we're just taking, every day as it comes. And I think just keeping enough space in your mind to come up with ideas and how to, carry your business or support the community through your business. I think we'll see a lot of unique innovations happen. And that's part of what excites me. I'm hoping that, out of all this negative situation, that we see a lot of solid, good things come out as well.
Yeah, I mean, some people are looking at some of the changes that have taken place, even like having your doctor's appointment virtually, right? And they're saying, gosh, I hope that maybe continues, because for many things, of course, for some things you have to be in person, but for many things, and in rural areas where some people drive a long distance to see their doctor, those innovations are welcome. So maybe there's some of those changes that we make will stick through. I understand, Becky, that you're also actively involved with the Chamber of Commerce in Sheet Harbour. So has the chamber been kind of mobilizing around trying to help its members get through this?
Yeah, so it's been a really tough time for the chamber too, trying to navigate everything. Last week, we have created an ad hoc sort of crisis committee to deal with everything. So we do have an email that went out last week to businesses asking them, what do you need? How are you suffering? Here's a list of the government programs. We're hoping to get feedback from that to really be able to help people, because we just don't know how people are struggling right now. And although we are Chamber of Commerce, we're civic affairs as well. So we're really trying to connect with other groups within the community to collaborate on efforts, to reach out to people in need. And just last week, the Chamber and Lily's Hill and our long-term care facility here sort of collaborated on an idea where over a Facebook group, people can do videos or drawings or anything for the residents there, which is really nice.
Oh, that's a great idea. And I like the idea of surveying businesses to see what exactly their needs are, because it's easy to make assumptions. We might hear things and assume we know what everyone needs. But obviously the government is learning too that when they came up with their packages, they might have missed a few things. So it's important to survey people, to ask them what they actually need and then to try to respond. So thank you so much, Becky, for sharing your experiences and thought with us today. And as you get, as the Chamber gets further along with that survey and identifying what is needed in the community, we'd like to touch base again and see what those results were and what kind of next steps might be taken.
Yeah, certainly.
Thanks so much, Becky, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you, Helen.
Bye-bye.
Bye.